Dear friends, Jesuit education is almost 470 years old, and over the period of these 4.5 centuries, Jesuit education has tremendously contributed to the global educational arena, and it has contributed some distinct philosophical, pedagogical terms for education. And these are all we have taken from Ignatian writings, Ignatian spirituality, Ignatian thinking in his constitution, his spiritual writings, letters, and his discussions and reflections with people. And over the period of last 4.5 centuries or beyond, Jesuit educators have brought out some distinct terms for education, and it is good that we all know these terms, because it is not only exclusively for Jesuits, it is for the global education. The first and foremost thing comes to my mind when we talk about education, Jesuit education. Is the first thing comes to notice is that cura personalis. Cura personalis means care of the individuals. We are here to care the individuals, because cura personalis says that individuals must be cared, because individual is a total of many things. He has many faculties, intellectual faculties, affective faculties, and skillful faculties. Everything is here. We are made up of intellect, we are moral, we are spiritual, we are also psychological, we are affective level people. We also need to have social social aspects in our life. We need to know how to live. The political science subject which starts with this sentence, man is a social animal. That means we need to learn to live in the society. That is why the social interaction, etc., very, very important in Jesuit education. And therefore, cura personalis means caring of this person's total development, total well-being. We cannot only concentrate one area, that is intellect. Okay, let me make an intellectual monster. That's not the education. We need to have a balanced ways of all the aspects simultaneously taught to the person and allow that person to grow. Grow in human dignity, accepting that person's importance and others' importance. The accepting also the uniqueness of the person. And that's called care of the individuals. That is called cura personalis. It's a very, very distinct term contributed by the Jesuits. The second important aspect in the Jesuit education is that a word called magis, M-A-G-I-S. If a simple translation of this will be more, but it is much beyond more. We are here to stretch out, give our best. We cannot be complacent. We cannot satisfy with the little things to do. We are created to do much, much bigger things. All of us are capable. If you stretch out, means maximize our potentialities, we are capable of doing wonders. And there are every centuries we see people who have come out with a tremendous contribution to the humanity, and we are also called to do that. Only thing is we need to stretch out. Magis means a discerning choice for us to do our best. And when we talk about magis is not the best. We have to for the greater. And that's why Ignatius says, do everything for the greater glory of God. He did not say greatest. He did not say also in the mediocre way, good. No, he says greater. We can do much better, and greater means there is always a room for improvement. That is why Ignatius used that word greater, and that is why magis is a catchword for Jesuit education, and we are supposed to be magis people, doing all the time our best. That's why in Ignatian terms later on in the last century, last few decades, we have been using the word called Jesuit education is meant for competence, excellence. Competence means what? We are doing our level best, our best, stretching out. That is very, very important for education, not only for Jesuit education. Jesuits have contributed, but it is for everybody. That matches. And magis is actually a value of striving for the better, striving for excellence. That is why we have the 4 C's now. The education, Jesuit education, for Coleman back brought out these terms called Jesuit education must have 4 C's. That is our aim. And what is the first C? First C is competence. Second is conscience, it affectively. Conscience is much deeper. It is not consciousness, I am aware, but conscience means my internal attitude. Why do I do this? Why do I act this way? What is the deeper self of myself? That is conscience. And the third one is compassion. See, if I am not a compassionate being, then I am not a human being. Human beings must have compassion towards other people. Compassion is a kind of empathy, much deeper than empathy. We need to feel with the person. Somebody who is suffering, we must be with that person, getting into the shoes and experiencing the same thing. And also the 4th C is called commitment. We are not here only for ourselves, we are for the other. And that is why the Jesuit education will bring out this competence. Now the next very, very important and distinctive phrase we use for Jesuit education, that is introduced by the former Father General of the Society of Jesus, called Father Pedro Arupe, servant of God. Arupe says, while addressing the Jesuit alumni in, I think it is in Bujumbura, he addressed in 1979, and he coined a new term which is called Jesuit education must create men and women for others, not for ourselves, not for selfish people. We must create people who are thinking about the society, the well-being and the welfare of other people. That is the purpose of ours. That's why Jesuit alumni in India, now I am with them, they are very, very active. For example, we just now we saw how much of an effort they made to help the migrant workers. They went all out from their own comfort zones. They really went out to the streets and helped the people so much. Why? Because they have understood the meaning of being men and women for others. In Jesuit education, there is no place for selfishness and self-centeredness. We are supposed to create people with that idea of serving the people, serving others' welfare. The next term of Jesuit education is that unity of mind and heart. Unity of mind and heart means what I think and what I feel must be same. I should not have a dichotomy in my thinking. I should not be a person who is a divided person. My hearts and minds are same. It should be thinking the same way. It should be feeling the same way. Then we will become fruitful human beings. Heart and mind must be incongruent when the whole person is educated and engaged. That is very, very important. What happened is today our heart is in one way and our mind is in another way. There is no feeling with other people. The empathy is becoming a rare commodity. Very, very sad. And that's why when people suffer, you see the cruelty they are meted out against other people, which is unacceptable. That's not the behavior of human beings. The lynching, the killing, the violence, the raping, and putting people into ignominy, and the cruelty practiced against human beings, etc. It cannot be. That's why we need to have that thinking and acting, thinking and feeling must be in at least in tandem with each other. And the next important term we have is finding God in all things, because Jesuit education believes that all permeating power of God is there in the entire universe. We are like any other beings in the world. We also came into this world like any other beings, and we have a responsibility. We have a added responsibility to understand this and act upon, instead of simply exploiting the earth, exploiting the nature. We need to help to protect this earth, protect this environment, and therefore we need to see God's presence in everything. And this is nothing new to India, because Indian spirituality also talks the same thing. God is present everywhere. And therefore, when we look at education, one of the things we must encourage people to see, teach people to see, to experience God's presence all over, even in difficult times. In a pandemic like this, we need to see God is present in and through these difficulties. We are limited beings. God has a larger plan, and we are only instrument in the hands of God to work, to mitigate, to remedy the sufferings. So therefore, that spirituality has to grow. Spirituality is not a religion. Religion is limited. Spirituality goes much beyond. And I think we need to have the responsibility to be more spiritual. And that's why finding God means God's intense presence is there in everything. And therefore, we human beings must be always grateful to God. It is important to have grateful. Gratitude is actually spirituality. The question is, are we spiritual? Do we have a gratitude to God? So in every circumstances, in every beings, we can see God is present if we are truly spiritual. And if we see such a wonderful experience, I'm sure we will not fight against each other. We will not discriminate people. We will consider everybody as God's children, and there will be a wonderful, lovable life in the world. A Latin American poet says, how nice it is to live in order to love, in a peaceful, harmonious atmosphere. How wonderful it is to live. Everybody longs for a life of peace. So therefore, that term is very, very important. Finding God in all things. Next, the phrase which we use is that we need to have dialogue. Dialogue focused on the poor and forgotten. We believe that everybody has a humanness. Everybody has humanhood. Everybody has personhood. Everybody has a dignity. And therefore, we need to concentrate on the poor, the weaker sections, the marginalized in all our policies and programs. And therefore, we have developed in Jesuit Education around 11 models, 11 points for reflection. Apart from the teaching the subjects, etc., these are integral part of our education. Number one is pursuit of excellence. I told you. We have 12 points, I'll tell you, I think 11 or 12. The first one is the pursuit of excellence. Jesuit education must create excellence. People who are competent, excellent, people who are contributing to the society, contributing to the world, contributing to the humanity and the future of the humanity. That's why this is very, very important. Second is respect for the world. We need to respect the world. Very important, because whichever world it is, it's not here to torment and destroy through wars and accumulation of weapons and fighting against each other in the name of nationalism, in the name of too much of parochialism, etc., etc. We are also guests in this world, on this earth, that kind of a feeling, and therefore respecting the entire world. This world is so beautiful, so beautiful. Only thing is, we need to see through it. We need to open our eyes and experience aesthetically the beauty of this earth. How wonderfully God has created us. That's why we need to have that respect for the world in its history. We are only part of a spot in the timeline of the world. We come and go, but this earth continues. Therefore, respect the history and respect the mystery also. Many things we do not know. Many things are beyond our comprehension. that we must accept. And the third point in Jesuit education is learning from experience. We believe that experience teaches us better, teaches us so many things. Therefore, learning from the experience is very, very important. Now, pandemic is an experience for us. It's a crisis, yes, but it's an experience for us. From this experience, we must learn something and change and rectify, if need be, many things, so that our life will be better post-pandemic period. That's why learning from experience is very, very important. The next aspect is that contemplative vision formed by hope. We are hopeful people. We believe that there is a positive world. We can make it. Only thing is, we need to be positive. We need to be optimistic. Next point in Jesuit education is that we develop the personal potential. We believe that everyone is unique, everyone has something to contribute. We are all together forms this body called humanity. And each one has a role to play. Let's take that role very sincerely, honestly, and at its best, so that we will have a world which is so vibrant. Each one contributes. Each one feels importance. Another area we need to have in Jesuit education is a critical thinking and effective communication. Critical thinking is so important, and effective communication is important. We need to appreciate things. We need to be positive. We need to have service orientedness, etc., etc. And we also need to have a justice oriented worldview. The whole world we need to look at with justice point of view, like Mahatma Gandhi or Martin Luther King, or we have Nelson Mandela. We have many great men and women who lived in this world to show us what justice means, human dignity means. And we need to also have special concern for the people. Especially in this context, we must have concern for the people who are deprived of rights and their livelihood. For example, the migrants, workers, we have been witnessing them last 3 months, how much of a suffering they underwent. So we need to have that kind of feeling towards those people, marginalized, oppressed people. And finally, we need to have an international global perspective. Global perspective is very, very important. That's why we have come out with a new syllabus mode called global citizenship, accepting the world in its entirety, the positively looking at the world, not only our own little regionalistic worldview. And finally, as I already said, we need to create a discerning mind. Discerning mind is very important. Discernment means understanding what is good and what is not so good, what has to be accepted and what has to be rejected. That is why this is very important. And I think Jesuit education is contributing these kinds of new ways of thinking for the last 470 years. I'm sure the coming days we can contribute according to the experience, according to the learning, according to the situation. I'm sure that post-pandemic period schools are not going to be same, the world is not going to be same, education is going to be same. I think that we have come out with India, we have the new education policy 2019, NEP 2019. I think at that time none of us, the people who suggested to the government, people who formulated this policy, etc., never ever visualized a context as we are in today. That is the pandemic period. Then this pandemic period is going to affect at all levels. Therefore, I think there should be a review of that policy before they declare. And we have to adjust and accommodate new things which are much more relevant in the context of this pandemic. And pandemic is not going to be easily go away. I think the government and the policy makers, all of us, and the Jesuits also, whatever way we can contribute to the world, will contribute, and all of us must together bring out a better educational system for our future generation. And that is the only way to face the world, the coming century, in a better and effective manner. Thank you very much, and God bless you.